Christopher Postoloff. I'm John Knox. We're here on the state capitol grounds of Sacramento, California. And all of us here are protesting the lockdown Gavin Newsom, along with all of the other governors and all the other heads of state, have come up with. So, one of the things that I've said to Christopher is, if we don't go to the governor's mansion and draw our line in the sand with our friends, if we don't do that now and let them know that what they're promoting is not what we're going to accept, if we don't do that, then when they show up individually in our homes, we won't have a chance. So, what do you think about what I just said?
Well, it's pretty clear that dissenting voices, people who are critical of the madness, I mean, this is an artificial construct, so people who wake up to that, I think the first victims of this outreach, the new employees, the new health contact tracers, is to find the dissenters and quell these voices that are out there. That's the tool, that's the program, and it's pretty clear that that's the goal.
Well, you just reminded me of something that I've been saying, that if you're not on a government watch list, you're not doing enough. The time to be worried about your privacy, the sanctity of your home, or the protection of your financial empire, that's gone. Because the governor of this state, along with a lot of other governors and a lot of other heads of state, have basically said, you used to be able to walk into a restaurant. We just said you can't. You used to be able to get close to somebody. We've just made it so bad that the general average person in the public recoils, right? We've just created a lot of rules and regulations that you didn't have 3 months ago. And guess what? If we can get away with this, we can get away with more. So what I would say, and what I think is the tenor of what's going on here today, is let the government know when they've overstepped their bounds, when they've reached for powers over us that are not theirs to have, right? Because once any right is taken away from us, it's not going to be given back. Income tax was just temporary. That's how they sold it. Well, we need to keep that. Right? Contact tracing. Oh, it's always just going to be for your safety. We don't want to know where you are other than just for your safety. But as you know, the narrative changes. So one of the things that I've been thinking about is how this all started, how the statistics were built on false models. When was the first time you got a sense that this was a scam?
Well, for me personally, I studied enough about martial law. So martial law happened for San Francisco the night before they shut down the city. I knew right away there was no data presented, there was no science, there was no reason, there were no cases. I live in Chinatown, which should be a hot zone based on the standard story of Wuhan being the Chinese birth of this whole experience. But right away there was a house of cards because there was no data, and here we are shut down for the first time in the nation's history. So I knew right away there was a reason to doubt anything they said. There was no fear from day one, but as I looked into it, looking for anything to validate the story, the house of cards defined itself and fell apart very, very quickly. And we've been recovering ever since from this malfeasance, these lies, these appropriations that were made to dominate us as people. It wasn't made to cure any kind of sickness or illness. It was about destroying our livelihoods. And ever since, here we are talking to the governor and connecting with everyone and working together to reopen and recover from this economic terrorism we've been dealing with from day one. It's the media, the propaganda, it's the sickness, and that's what we're fighting against now.
There's one simple fact. Big Pharma pays about approximately 74% of the bills for the media. So when your major sponsor says, Christopher, we'd like you to do X, Y, and Z. Christopher, if he gets 74% of his money from me, he's going to listen. Just like practically every other person in the world will listen. Very, very few people will stand up on principle and say, I know you want me to do that, I got it, not happening. So the media is a conduit for the companies that sell the fear. The CDC is a private, for-profit corporation. It's not a federal government organization. The WHO is basically a governmental organization disguised as a governmental. It's basically an extension of the private central banks through the UN, but it's disguised as a feel-good, good-for-you, your safety governmental organization. So these are two of the places where we get information. And most people believe, oh, it's the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control. Well, they're a profit-making company. And once you know a simple fact like that, if you ask the CDC, are vaccines good, or I got a little question, that would be like going to the National Dairy Council and saying, you know, I'm not sure about milk. What could you tell me about milk? You're going to get the company line. And this gathering is saying the company line is not going to work. So, what other points would you like to make?
Well, we were talking about this on the way here, and certainly you made a lot of great points about where we're at and what we're doing here, and I see very clearly we have to really work as awake people and coordinate as best we can. Certainly we have to get the fence sitters off the fence and really see this for what it is. This is, we've said it before, I'll categorize it for myself, but we're at the very vestiges, the very beginning stages of the National Socialist movement in Germany from 70 years ago, the Soviet Union establishment. So right now, it's make or break. We either deny these communists, these new people in this White House over here, their mission, or we just go to sleep and accept it. But the fact is, I think we as awake people, we have this tremendous power to correct this problem, and that's what we need to do, not in a month from now, not in 2 months from now, but right now.
Yeah. The one thing that a few experts have said, that this scamdemic, this plandemic, and let's not ignore the fact that people have died of this medical illness. What created the death, how it was recorded, I don't have the information on you. But if they demonize cash because it spreads germs, then all of your information is going to be on your card. And then if you talk to somebody like me and the government doesn't like it, or somebody like Christopher, or the guy holding the camera, if that happens, they turn your card off, you have no spending capability at all. So to demonize cash, to instigate contact tracing, surveillance, Big Brother surveillance. Also, if you want to return to work, it's not mandatory, but we would like to test you once a week, of course. And of course, since the government is spending billions on a vaccine, they're probably not going to give you much of an option to get out of the vaccine, unless we do this. Now, my particular thing is, politicians have firewalls for petitions, they have firewalls for emails, they have firewalls for people who come in and see them in their offices. But they don't have a firewall for this beyond the CHP, which is dressed in riot gear today, standing behind the fences. So here's our best shot. If someone else comes up with another idea, I'm all for it. But until they do, anybody who says to me, what good has protesting ever done, my basic answer is going to be, you give me something better to do when I'm there. Until then, the humans have to show up on the grounds of the people and tell them, what you've got planned for us, we're not down with that. Okay? All right, so it is Saturday, May 23rd, 2020. Christopher Postoloff, I'm John Knox. Behind the camera is Kip Thomas, doing a great job. It's time to cultivate your common sense. The time for believing the media, believing the government, and believing your universities is over. The information's out there. Take a look at YouTube channels. James Corbett, David Icke, Last American Vagabond, Transparent Media Truth, Spiro Skouras. You got anything to add?
Not off the top of my head, those are great.
Okay, well, I'm tired, so that's all I can think of. But the information's out there. And these people are dedicated, independent researchers. Go take a look at their information.
Tim
right?
Truth, I can't add that.
Okay, yeah, I know Tim. And Observation Deck and Max Egan. All right, Mark Passio. Take a look into what he's got to say. All right. Saturday, May 23rd, 2020. Cultivate your common sense, and I guarantee you, as we go on, there's going to be more and more reasons to stay curious.